Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
Okay, there we go. We're ready. We're off. We're back. We're running. It's another brand new live edition of Talking Ball. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you, hanging out until 9 a.m. on what should be a great Friday edition of the show. We've got a lot to get to because today's the day we're going to put everything, wrap it all up nice and neat, put a bow around it, put it out there. Final preparations for this year's championship games, the SEC championship, and every other championship that is being played. And, of course, the action all does get started tonight. I know everybody is dying to watch at 6 o'clock the Conference USA championship game. 24th Liberty, New Mexico State. That is what everybody has circled on their calendar. But then, of course, that'll lead into the Pac-12 championship game, which gets started tonight at 7, Oregon and Washington. As for the SEC championship, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, top-ranked Georgia, 8th-ranked Alabama, right here, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Yesterday, both coaches, one in Tuscaloosa, one in Athens, holding a press conference, and Nick Saban was asked once, twice about the SEC and Alabama potentially not getting into the college football playoffs. Here was Coach's response the second time.
I think that the SEC is one of the best conferences in the country. I think Georgia is one of the best teams in the country. And I think that they're one of the best 4 teams in the country. I think if we beat them, we'd be one of the best 4 teams in the country. Because, teams do, there's a transformation that goes through the season. So how are you playing now? Where is your team now? How good are you now? I think all those things, come into play. But I think it would be a disrespect to the SEC if there is an SEC representation in the Final Four. I do believe that.
All right, that was Coach Saban talking about the SEC and everything, and he did make the point to say if we beat Georgia, that is what has to happen there. Kirby Smart, this is what Kirby Smart had to say about the game, and a lot has been made about the fact that they quote-unquote, rested players against Georgia Tech. Here is an injury report and a little feisty Kirby Smart.
Yeah, great question because I'm trying to figure that out myself. And I don't have a lot more answers now than I had on Monday. They have not been able to do a lot. Each one has worked kind of independently. Tate has done some drill work, some 11-11 stuff. Brock sprinkled in some of that. The other guys have been able to run and do some things, but we're going to find out today what their availability is, to be honest. So it's it's tough because it bothers me that people have said out there that we sat these guys for the last game. That wasn't the case at all. They couldn't go. And I don't know if they're going to be able to go in this game. It's just unfortunate to have those kind of injuries, especially for starters, on offense.
If you want to watch those entire press conferences, Kirby Smart, Nick Saban, and Commissioner Greg Sankey, head over to our YouTube page, WZZN TV. You can watch that. Both coaches will be in Atlanta today as they have another press conference. This time they will pose with the trophy and they will have one more press conference before we finally put the pads on and get ready to play.
Just put the pads on. Let's play the game. They're about sick and tired of all this BS. Just tell it like it is. They can rest guys against the ACC because they SUCK.
Is that what they did?
The whole conference sucks.
Did they rest them?
Look, if they'd been healthy enough, they would have played them. They would have beaten Georgia Tech probably by 35, and those guys would have been out of the game by the middle of the third quarter. Okay, they were able to rest them, and they still beat them. The ACC stinks.
There you go. Of course, I mean, come on. We're going to see Ladd McConkey. We're going to see Brock Bowers.
I think we're
tomorrow.
definitely going to see Brock. I don't know about the other two. I'm saying Ratledge and McConkey.
Right.
McConkey might be on a pitch count if we see him. I mean, he's probably the most doubtful of those guys on offense. So. Again, but the thing about Georgia is they've got enough depth. Especially since they're going to have Bowers. I mean, I'm 99.9% sure on that. They're going to be fine. They've got enough good players. They've recruited well. They can overcome it. Kendall Milton's as healthy as he's been. He's coming off his best game against Georgia Tech. So they should be in good enough shape. Alabama's going to be without Chase McClellan, in my opinion.
I saw those reports come out last night that said that
it's been since early in the week. I mean, that you've just been hearing he was probably not going to go, and so so that'll be. Roy Dale Williams would start. Jam Miller will get time. It'll be interesting to see Justice Haynes and if he has a role in it. I don't think Richard Young will, but. Like we said, I do think there is an injury report for Georgia, but I think that the most important piece, Brock Bowers, will be a part of it.
All right, 256-576-4977. You can join the program this morning. We go out there. LC is with us first this morning. Good morning, LC.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning, guys. I love the show. The SEC's won 12 of the last 17 national championships. I agree with Coach Saban. I know that's past, but the top of our conference, I'll put them up against anybody. We got to be there, SEC representative, and I hope it's Alabama. But if I could just get into another development that's happened recently, guys, and I'd love to get y'all's take on it. A few years ago, I watched a press conference with an AD, and you couldn't take your eyes off of this press conference. It was mesmerizing. The guy his voice was prim. I never seen anybody as mad as this guy at his coach who lied to him, and he could barely read his transcript. And, of course, that was Jeff Long when he fired Bobby Petrino. Now, there's been a lot of crazy things going on in this football season with the NIL and all this other stuff going on, the transfer portal, Coach Prime winning Sportsman of the Year with a 4-8 record. We could go on and on. But to me, the fact that Arkansas is going to be writing checks to Bobby Petrino to coach football for them on their staff next year, that's one of the craziest developments in this football season. It's like the Twilight Zone. And, guys, I'd like to hear y'all's comments on that development.
Yeah, we talked to – when he was introduced a couple days ago, we were kind of talking about this, the fact that he's back, but the thing is it wasn't because of his on-the-field performance.
No,
it was away from the field. And Arkansas is willing, I guess, to give him a second chance.
Well, look, man. It was all about his what should have been like an East 60 Rush Probst College edition. I don't know. That's basically what it should have been with Bobby Petrino. He literally did it to himself. Yeah, because even though he couldn't beat Nick Saban, that's about the only team in the West he couldn't beat. Arkansas was perfectly happy with him. They were ecstatic, and then he wrecked a motorcycle, and the rest is history. And they ended up having to, due to the conduct that was uncovered, and the black eye it gave the university, they had to fire Bobby Petrino. That's why he ended up back at Louisville, and for 1 year at Western Kentucky before going to Louisville. But look, man, I mean, he's a really good football coach. Sam Pittman is. Let's just be honest. Sam Pittman's on the hottest of the hot seats, and he's hired a guy that the fans loved his on the field product, and you can tell that's why they're so excited about it. That's what trumps all in this situation. So I guess his personal life has been put back together, but I mean, Bobby Petrino I thought he did a solid job at A&M, but I mean, he still couldn't save Jimbo, because to me, by the time Bobby Petrino was brought in, Jimbo's program was already too far gone. Jimbo had already lost grip on it, and it was just one of those things where they were not going to be able to rise above mediocrity. In other words, they're not going to be able to get past 7-5, 8-4, and that's not what A&M was paying for. A&M thinks they're a blue blood program. They have blue blood money, but they get red light special results, which has pretty much been the history of their program. Now, Arkansas, if you can get Arkansas to 8-4, 9-3, they're going to be dancing in the streets. So, and that's basically what he was doing before, and he can save Sam Pittman's job. Can they do that? I don't know, honestly, because the league is getting even tougher, because you've got Texas coming in, you've got OU coming in. Arkansas has already had tough enough schedules. Like, for example, this year with what Trey Biddy was talking about, the middle of their schedule, all on the road. Like 4 straight. Because, again, Texas A&M is not a home game. It's a neutral site.
Here's a shock for you.
Right.
I want to listen to Bobby Petrino here on this.
Oh, Lord, okay.
No, and this past season, I went into A&M, and Jimbo wanted to keep his terminology, and I didn't sleep for months. It was hard. It was studying every night, trying to figure this out. Why are we calling it this way? But I have an offense that I'm very familiar with and understand inside and out, and calling it will be much easier and going quicker, and the play.
Is anybody shocked by this?
Can I just say one other thing?
Yeah.
I appreciate you taking my call. Jeff Long, I don't know anything about. I felt so bad for him, and he goes to Kansas and hires Les Miles, and that ended up being a train wreck. I could Google it and find out where he is now. I'm not sure where he is, but the poor guy had some bad luck, guys. And I'll hang up and listen. I love your show. Roll Tide.
Thank you, LC. I like I say, are we shocked that Jimbo tied one hand behind his back and probably tried to take the play calling back over too, because the narcissistic piece of trash probably wanted to get all the credit for it as well.
Yeah.
Because,
Are you shocked that?
Because when you're a dirt neck and you're the most overrated coach in the history of the sport, and he's the most overrated coach in the history of college football. Because guess what? He had a culture of just garbage over at Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean, Jameis Winston was running that program. Jameis Winston was stealing things from grocery stores, and yes,
Crab
he
legs.
was. Yes, he was just walking. Now, if this had been the NIL era, he could have just signed an NIL deal with Publix, and he could have took it home as much as he wanted. But he was not doing that. I mean, I remember watching a game. I think it was on a Thursday. He was supposed to be suspended, and the SOB came out in his pads, and Jimbo wasn't even aware of it. Jimbo was not running this ship.
Yeah.
At least not.
Didn't he make him change or something?
Yeah, he said, "Go back in the locker room, take your pads out. What the
room.
hell are you doing?" You really got control of the program there.
I think he
dipwad.
threw the staffer or someone under the bus.
He threw somebody under. He cut me off at SEC Media Days, threw a guy under the bus, even though I was telling the truth.
Oh,
Piece of cow dung.
All right. Hey, I saw this morning, because I only bring this up because tonight we get the Pac-12 title game.
Yeah.
Tomorrow we get the SEC title game.
Yeah.
And so my son I was talking to him yesterday, and he's like, "You know what, Dad?" He goes, "If Vegas wasn't so far away, I'd go to the game." And I said, "There's no way you're going." I said, "Because it's going to be too expensive." And he said, no. He goes, "You got to look at the ticket prices."
Yeah.
So I did. So to go to tomorrow's SEC title game,
No, you mean
$325
$325
tomorrow
average
in Atlanta.
for Atlanta.
In
yeah.
Atlanta. That's
Right,
the
right.
cheapest ticket on StubHub,
Right. Yeah.
Tonight we can go. Me and you can go to Vegas if we can get on the Josh Pate jet, okay, for $24 each. To see Oregon and Washington play for a spot in the playoffs. $24.
I mean,
and people wonder why we don't care about the Pac-12. They don't care about it.
a cheeseburger at an Alabama football game costs $16. You know what I'm saying? That's all you need to know. That's all you need to know about the Pac-12 and how serious they take football and why the hell they're going broke and why their league disintegrated because they thought they could stream everything. Bunch of weed whackers. I mean, good Lord.
$24 to a title game that means something.
I know. I thought I was in the Pac-12 the other day, Scott. I'm sitting in a seat waiting for our good friend Wes Neighbors to come to the Huntsville High game. And, I'm sitting in one of those floor seats and almost got high off secondhand smoke. And I thought I was at the Pac-12. Wow. What? Oh, I guess somebody had some tobacco before they came in, It gets in your clothes and everything. Oh. That's probably what it would smell like if we were in the Pac-12. You know what? In Vegas, I bet the dang drinks, like the Cokes, are probably $30. They're probably more expensive than the dang ticket.
Yeah, can you imagine that? You have to pay more. You got to pay more for your concessions than it was to get in.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Wow.
Anyway,
these guys, I swear, no wonder.
Yeah, $24 to go. All right, got to get a break in. I know we got phone calls. Let's get a break in. When we come back, we'll get to more of your phone calls. We'll break down the SEC title game and the playoffs. I'm sure of it once more time.
No, I was, man.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
There's not much to it this morning. Traffic seems to be moving along smoothly. I'm not seeing anything on the board accident-wise. You be careful. Maybe we'll be able to keep it that way throughout the morning. You could lose up to 4 sizes in 4 weeks with the 2030 Fast Track Weight Loss Program. Find out more at 2030huntsville.com. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Watch the Alabama High School Super 7 Football Championship presented by Alabama Community College System December 6th through the 8th on Alabama Public Television. It's all the gut-wrenching, hard-hitting, high-flying action you've come to expect from...
Wait, Alabama Public Television? Okay.
Watch every game live December 6th through the 8th only on your new home for high school sports, APT.
Not looking or feeling your best? No energy for the things you like to do? Ready to look and feel younger? Make your appointment at Advanced Life Clinic, one of the region's foremost destinations for patients interested in looking and feeling their best. Specializing in advanced laser treatments and weight loss, male and female rejuvenation to offset the effects of aging, and more. See how Advanced Life Clinic can help you enjoy your life again. Call 256-882-6555 or log on advancedlifeclinic.com.
With us today, Dr. Tracy Lowry of Best Vein Care of Huntsville.
When we evaluate a patient and they indeed have significant venous disease, most third-party payers, private insurance, Medicare, require us to treat every patient conservatively at least 90 days. Conservative treatment includes increasing ambulation, elevation of the legs, and the wearing of compression stockings. It's very common for folks to come see us in March or April wanting to have their veins fixed before they go into swimsuits starting in June. When we see someone in March or April, they're going to require at least 90 days of conservative treatment before we can even go to the insurance carrier to get permission to treat their veins. So if you think you have a venous problem, now is the time to come in and get a free screening so we can determine whether or not you need something evaluated. If you have a vein problem or you think you may have a vein problem, now's the time to contact us at bestveincarehuntsville.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond hanging out with you, getting you ready for the SEC title game, which comes up tomorrow right here, 97.7 ESPN The Zone, your home for Alabama and Georgia. A Georgia win, no doubt. They will be the number 1 seed going into the college football playoffs. An Alabama win, and we could have a little bit of chaos, so to speak, with the playoffs. Everybody assumes on our end that Alabama would be in. The rest of the nation not so convinced.
Because they don't want them in.
Let's go out to the phone lines. Mark from Spring Hill with us. Good morning, Mark.
Morning.
Hey, morning, guys. Happy Friday. To the last caller, let's not forget about Sarkisian and Coach Saban. Sarkisian was dead in the water. We start picking on Petrino and others. Sarkisian, he was done. Saban helped the guy out, and he'll be the first to admit it and tell you. I'm not Saban, but Sarkisian, and has said so. So, I'm not saying that they have done the same things, but I just don't like hearing. We have enough bad in the world, without bashing, guys. I know, like I said, if I'm a perfect person, and I only know of one that ever walked this earth. And I love the fact that you guys, this show, I wanted to say how blessed we are to have this show. I look at Sarkisian, a guy that I've got a lot of respect for, but there's, like I said, there's things, people could bring up and, they may not respect him. So I think he's got to look at the big picture and look what they've done for college football.
Well,
and that sort of thing.
But the thing is, though, it would be like Steve Sarkisian going back to USC to be a coordinator after everything that happened away from the field.
Going back to the same place.
Right. You're going back to the same place. Yeah. Steve Sarkisian came to Alabama in an entirely different
or Lane Kiffin doing the same thing.
Yeah, it'd be like Lane Kiffin going back to USC to be the
Tennessee.
Or to be to Tennessee to be the offensive coordinator. Yeah. You don't see the situation the situation and how it ended with Bobby Petrino at Arkansas, going to a press conference with a neck brace on.
And a Sugar Bowl hat, an all-state Sugar Bowl hat.
Yeah. The way that everything left was completely it was weird.
Just one of the strangest you've ever seen.
And to go back there and to be welcomed the way that he is, it's I think they're two different situations.
Let me ask you this real quick then, guys. I think in maybe 3 or 4 years, something similar will happen in Alabama, and we'll be celebrating almost like we were when Saban got off the jet. When Coach Kiffin is announced as the new head coach. Okay, just follow me here. This is the same Kiffin who I didn't know until yesterday. Wes Neighbor said this. I didn't know that he quit before he got fired by Coach Saban. But nonetheless, or maybe it's Paul Feinbaum that said that. But he quit, and then Saban fired him, is what I understand, and it may have cost us the national championship. Y'all remember that year?
That was 2016.
So I think that's a pretty good example of where, what you're saying is true. But I just think everyone deserves an opportunity. It may be unique, it may be awkward, it may be whatever it is, but whoever's in charge is responsible. And I think people do need second and third chances even in life. I know I'm glad I've got mine, and I just but I do think it's a good topic. I'm not saying it's not a good topic to talk about, but we got some great coaches out there that I wouldn't mind coming to Alabama to replace Saban that we could pick apart as well. So, but the main reason I called was not that. It was this one thing right here. Wes Neighbors said that if Alabama was not going to get in, if he could look at the crystal ball and can tell that they were not going to get in, and Alabama beat Georgia, he would. And I agree with him on this. I want to see what y'all think. And we knew that they were not going to get in, even if we beat them. That he just assumed Georgia win the game and the SEC have a team in there. Your thoughts on that?
Well, I think Alabama wants to hang a banner and get a ring. I want Alabama to win the SEC championship. I mean, first and foremost for the state of Alabama. We're an Alabama affiliate. Certainly Georgia's accomplished a ton They're the best program in the country, but I want chaos. I want to see what this committee has to do. I want to make them do their jobs. I want to make them earn their catered meals. I want to make them squirm and prove their football IQ.
Make them wear deodorant in the room because it's going to get a little hot and sweaty.
Yeah, there you go. You know, pull an all-nighter, you know, and have to do
have
some
a couple
actual
Red
studying,
Bulls.
But I just think overall, when you look at it, though, look, I know people keep banging that Lane Kiffin drum, and I don't understand it because, again, what has he ever done as a head coach to deserve the Alabama job? Nothing, except for helping Alabama win a national championship in 2015 as an OC. In 2016, you can say he quit before he got fired, but you have to do some digging, man. Lane Kiffin was a train wreck off the field at Alabama. Nick Saban had to manage him for 3 years, okay? There's no question about it. And I think there's a reason he keeps losing big games because he's not a big game coach. Okay, I don't think he is. I don't think he's a big-time coach. We'll see. Sark is trying to prove people wrong because, you know, I know Husky Dan's been going to be joining us today on the show. He's told us ad nauseum. I mean, I know, look, when he inherited it was 0-12, okay? It was the lowest of the low. But still, he was nothing more than an 8-4, 7-5 type coach. That's what he was doing at USC. Now, has he turned a corner at Texas? We may very well see if he has. But again, I'm not completely sold on him as a long-term, big-time head coach. I'm not even sold on Ryan Day. And he's lost like 3 Big Ten games, but I think it's because he's in the Big Ten. I don't think the Big Ten's as strong. But again, I just think sometimes – look, Ed Ogeron won a national championship. Jimbo Fisher won a national championship. They're not big-time coaches, okay?
Right.
Mike DeBose won an SEC championship. I think, though, if you want to win at the highest level, you've got to have an elite coach. And if I'm Alabama, I'm not settling for Lane Kiffin just because he has a dog named Juice and he's on social media and he's active on social media. Oh, I love Lane Kiffin. He's such a great quote. Get a good football coach. You're not trying to win the press conference. You're trying to win a game.
Yeah. Let's go out to Husky Dan, who I imagine will have some tailgate food tonight because.
Are you going to Vegas, Dan? Because it's $24.
I should have, but you know,
I mean, $83 for 32 rows up, man.
About 10 minutes ago.
What happened is USC fans bought all the tickets up.
You really believe that? That's probably a good point. That is probably a good point.
And now they're trying to sell them all off right now, but
take a red eye to Vegas and buy you a cheap ticket.
Yeah, but I heard that the Alaska Airlines flights were like $1,500 from Seattle.
$1,500
from Seattle?
Yeah, they jacked up all their prices. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, it's embarrassing. So they probably have to drive down there to go. It's going to be a hell of a game. I mean, there's a hatred between the two teams, and like you guys say, Auburn and Alabama have a hatred. I think Alabama doesn't really have a hatred for Auburn. I think they hate Tennessee more.
Right.
I do.
So let me get this straight. So is Washington and Washington State, is that a hatred rival or is that
like Auburn? That's like Auburn, Alabama. It's like Big Brother. I mean,
yeah.
If they beat us, I mean, the Cougs hate us. Yes, they do. But
this is more like Alabama, Tennessee.
Yeah, and let's throw out the records on this one. I mean, I know they've got the point spread, but the reality is Oregon hasn't played anybody. They played Utah, but Utah's probably the worst I've seen them all year. I mean, in all the times I've been watching Utah play, their defense is horrible this year. So I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to if the Huskies keep it close, and they've shown they can pull out those close games. DeBoer is probably one of the best coaches in the country. He's won multiple national titles. It was with Sioux Falls, but you could see how he can coach. I mean, he's one of the best unknown coaches that nobody knows about, but he makes great calls, and he's just a great coach. He doesn't get fazed by the moment. So this is our biggest game since we played Alabama.
We were talking about that yesterday, Husky Dan. It'll be the first. This will be the first time because we think the winner of this game's in that the Pac-12 will be in it. Since then,
we're right in the place where we want to be. I mean, everyone's talking about Oregon and all this, and that's how they are. They like to be talked about. They pay their players. I mean, a lot of their players are making a couple $1 million. It's an NIL type of deal, so Nike money is is moving on in, and this is the new college football where you're going to have, basically what Jerry Seinfeld said. We're just rooting for laundry now. It's just, people are just going to be, moving team to team to team, and and it's millions and millions of dollars. They're talking about that Washington State quarterback, $3-4 million per year to get him on NIL
DJU.
right now.
Yep. All right, Husky Dan. Hey, thanks for the phone call. I hate to do it to you. I hate to be real short. I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to get to Rod real fast because we've got a guest coming on. But let's get to Rod for 1 second. Good morning, Rod.
Morning, Rod.
Hey guys. Hey, Judkins left Ole Miss. I was going to see if y'all knew anything about that, and then you can brush up on any recruiting, Drew. And what happened with you and Dirtneck at the press conference? I never heard that story.
Yeah, I got cut off. I asked him about the staffer that he had that was telling all these recruits, if you come to A&M, these are the guys. He pointed to the luxury suite. He said they're the ones that are going to take care of you when you're here at A&M. I mean, it was a piece of video that they allowed to leak out that Scott and I had on the show that we talked about. So going to be interesting.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that is awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What about Judkins? You think we got a shot at getting him? Think you and Scott can go there and sign a deal?
I mean, we haven't heard anything about Judkins going into the portal.
Right.
We'll look into that. I know they've got a bowl game coming up. The portal opens on December 4th. I know there was some thought that he was unhappy this year, but he ended up having a really productive year. But we haven't seen anything about Judkins going into the portal yet.
Any chance we get any of these defensive linemen from Texas A&M?
I mean, they're going to try. So we'll see. But again, there's no doubt. We'll.
Real quick, what
Yeah.
about the defensive line coach Drew from Texas A&M? Because he's got some great recruits, and Freddie Roach is.
They're trying to keep him. That's that's a priority for. Without a doubt, for Mike Elko is what I was hearing yesterday. And we're going to talk to Brent Zvarneman about that from the Houston Chronicle in the second hour.
All right, roll tide, y'all.
Thank you,
Thanks,
man.
Rob.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I've not looked at. I've looked, and I'm still looking. I've not seen a thing on Quinshawn Judkins going into the transfer portal.
No,
so it's not like
I'll freely admit to you, I since about 6:40 this morning, I haven't been checking, Matt Zenitz and all these guys.
Yeah, I've not seen a thing about it. If that name would be rumored to be in the portal, there would be something on it because DJU, before he went in, it was rumored he was going in. He went in. Same way with
Riley
KJ
Leonard,
Jefferson. Before they went in, there was rumored. Not a thing on Quinshawn Judkins. Not saying it's not going to happen, but I'm just saying right now there is not a thing about him going into the portal.
Yeah, that would be like huge news coming out of Mississippi.
Huge, yeah. Big. That would be a case where NIL didn't get it done.
Yeah.
Because they would be giving him
This
something.
would be like a Jordan Addison thing when he won the Blitnikoff from Pitt, and then he went into the portal for like $1 million and lost to Tulane.
Because they just flat out.
Yeah.
Let's get a break in. Rodney Ord next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Friday, expect scattered showers throughout this entire day. High temperatures look to top out in the lower 60s for the afternoon. We could also see gusty winds as high as 30 miles per hour. Heading into your Friday night, a few lingering showers and thunderstorms going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll continue to sit under a cloudy sky. Low temperatures falling into the upper 50s for the overnight. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Just got another call at Carroll Road and Dorning Road. That's from an earlier accident. They've already checked it. It's an unoccupied vehicle. And they had a stall reported in Decatur at 20 and 12th Avenue. That may have ended up being a medical issue. No hose, no mask. You can ask Dr. Sandman, that's Dr. Sandlin, for the medically proven benefits of the Somnodent for sleep apnea and for snoring. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Eck in the North Parkway, Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Specializing in simple and affordable rentals, McCurry Van and Car Rental can make sure you have just the right vehicle for your next family vacation, weekend getaway, or if you just need transportation while your vehicle is being repaired. McCurry carries Ford Transit vans and Mercedes Sprinter vans, trucks and work vans, and more. And they offer discounted rental rates for long-term rentals. Now with 4 locations: Athens, Muscle Shoals, Coleman, and Huntsville. Log on McCurryRentals.com to make your reservation now. That's McCurryRentals.com. What if I told you that Bigfoot is real and that he's making the best donuts you've ever had? Come see for yourself at Bigfoot's Little Donuts. Come in and order from over 50 flavors, all made hot and delicious. Ranked in the top 100 donut shops in the nation by Yelp. Bigfoot Little Donuts. Order in store or online at BigfootsLittleDonuts.com for pickup or delivery from Grub South or DoorDash. South Parkway, Huntsville, and County Line Road, Madison. Bigfoot's Little Donuts.
Are you tired of power outages disrupting your life? It's time for a Generac standby generator from Current Electrical. Storms may rage outside, but inside your family's powered up. So why choose Current Electrical for your generator needs? 1, we offer a wide range of models to suit every budgeted energy requirement. 2, our project managers handle every step of the process: power, gas, permitting, and inspections. 3, our certified technicians install your generator with precision, ensuring peace of mind. Don't wait for the next blackout. Call 256-880-1880 or visit us online at GenSuperstore.com.
Work injuries happen in Alabama all the time, whether it's an accident at work, getting injured, lifting heavy objects, hurting your hands on a machine, or just performing the same movement over and over until your body breaks down. But when it happens, there's only one law firm to call in Alabama. That's Pond, Lehocky, Giordano. For personalized legal support, reach out to Pond Lehocky at 855-774-3838 or pondlehocky.com.
The representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
That's the price you pay. Oh, boy. All right, that's the price you pay. There's a lot of college football. Listen, there's a lot of college football teams right now that are going to be paying for college quarterbacks.
Hey, I'm going to say this. What Rod just called in and told us about,
Yeah.
we've confirmed it was a fake account. We're gonna add another Drew and Nary to this stuff because we're gonna dedicate it to our great friend who's semi-retired. We're going to start calling that a Jimmy Himes because he's got like 40 fake accounts.
Yeah.
So that's a Jimmy Himes.
Right
yeah,
there
because he always used to tell us, so there's like 50. I got like 50 fake accounts, and so yeah, or Richard G. West from West Knoxville.
He's the king. He's the king of fake accounts. I mean, that one there is good. I will give him all the props on that.
Yeah, it's a Richard G. West / Jimmy Himes.
Yeah. Speaking of good, he can give us some good insight, hopefully, to tomorrow's SEC title game in Atlanta, Alabama, making that trip over there, the short distance trip. They'll be making it today as they will go through probably a walkthrough there in Mercedes-Benz. Nick Saban, again, will meet with the media, take a picture with the trophy, and we are inching closer to game day.
Yes, we are, and it's always great to catch up with the founder and owner of TiderInsider.com, Rodney Orr, for a few quick minutes, and he's going to give us some day-before thoughts of the SEC championship game. Certainly, this has been a huge topic on Tider Insider this week. Rodney, how are you?
Hey, Drew, Scott, I'm doing well. How about you guys?
We're doing well. I mean, I think we've been talking about this. It's been the topic all week long, all these scenarios. But the bottom line is, Rodney, as you know, Alabama's got to beat Georgia. There's been so much talk. I was rolling my eyes because there's another press conference later this afternoon. I mean, how many press conferences can you have? It's time to play the game. Your thoughts on this matchup, Alabama and Georgia, tomorrow at 3:00 on CBS.
Yeah, in a nutshell, Drew and Scott, the way I kind of see this game, it's the game of the year.
Right.
I mean, it really
Agreed.
is in college football. I just don't think there's any other way to put it, actually. I mean, there's a lot of people that probably don't like that around the country, but I think these are, arguably the two most talented teams, I guess. I think they're the two best teams. Again, I think the difference right now with Alabama is, you're going to play a clean game. Because I think if they do, then I think all of a sudden Alabama is a legitimate threat to win it all, actually. Now, if they make the mistakes that we saw against Auburn, a lot of those mistakes that we saw earlier in the year, all of a sudden, they're probably about where they're ranked, 8, or in that. They're certainly not a top 4 team if they're going to, when they're making those kind of mistakes. But so that's kind of the way I look at it. I mean, Georgia's on a 29-game win streak. You have to just say it, man. They're the team, right now. They've taken over college football. Alabama's still hanging there. Can Alabama grab it back? I think this is one of those things where if Alabama wins this game, you would have to say, okay, right now these are the 2 best teams in college football. I don't want to get into playoff scenarios. There's just so many things that could, impact that right now. So many different games. I will say this, though. If Alabama beats Georgia, it's the biggest win in college football this year. You've got a team that's on a roll since the second week, and I don't see how Alabama could be left out. So that's just kind of, the way I feel about that. Again, but we'll see. There's a lot of things that could impact that where actually it's not even a question.
You look at the game, then you start dissecting it down a little bit further and peeling back the layers, so to speak. What does Alabama? You mentioned going back to some tendencies that have kind of that have hurt them in the Auburn game in the season. I think people are going to say offensive line first. How well? Obviously, that offensive line has been playing well. Caden Proctor is kind of coming into his own a little bit, and that happens when you play. How well do you think this offensive line can look tomorrow?
It's a good question. I mean, they're playing really, really well. I don't think, and this is not obviously Georgia's the number 1 defense in the SEC. They're giving up less than 300 yards a game. They're really good. They haven't faced anything like Alabama, and vice versa. Alabama's in some ways, Georgia's going to present some challenges Alabama hasn't faced. But I think that, the offensive line's made great strides. Obviously, a lot of strides since that Texas A&M game when they inserted Jaden Roberts in at right guard. I don't know that necessarily solidified everything, but it certainly seems to have contributed significantly. But, yeah, I think the offensive line's going to be a real key. Georgia, interestingly enough, has not been quite as productive up front defensively this year. They rank low in a lot of categories in terms of sacks and pressures and those types of things. But they're still really talented. I think it's going to be a real challenge for the offensive line. And, I know there are probably some other areas offensively that you're interested in talking about. But I do think, obviously, this game is going to be a game at the line of scrimmage on both sides.
Well, and another interesting thing is Jace McClellan. The intel we're getting is it looks doubtful, Rodney, that he might be able to play in this game. That means Roydell Williams is a guy that'll move up the depth chart to number 1. Jam Miller, who we've seen play more the last month, would be number 2. And then the interesting thing is, would Justice Haynes have a role?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is with Jace. I hate that. Jace has just been kind of injury bitten.
Yeah.
Since he's been here a little bit, and he's a real talented back coming out of Texas in high school. And he's had some great moments. But I've got a lot of confidence, Drew and Scott, in Roydell Williams. He's had real good moments this year. He's quick to the hole. I think that could be a key. I think that could be a real key because I think that his quickness through the hole is something that, when you're playing a team like Georgia as athletic and as fast as they are up front, a guy like that who is he's got some juke to him when he gets on that second level, and he runs with power. He's low to the ground. He's really good in short yardage. And Roydell's not a bad receiver either. So I really like Roydell. I also love Jam Miller and his potential.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's just been kind of biting the bit to get his opportunity. And I'm going to throw you one here, Drew and Scott.
Okay.
Now, again, I'm with you. I think Justice Haynes is going to be a future star. Whether or not he would play a role in this game, remains to be seen. But don't be surprised if Kendrick Law gets a few carries. We've seen him get some. Kendrick Law is kind of the player that I think they look at, and I'm talking about the coaching staff, looks at and says, this guy, we can do it all with him. We can put him in the slot. We can line him up in the backfield. We can line him up at wide receiver. He can catch passes. He can run. You saw what he did in that touchdown that was called back against Auburn. But he can run with power. He's got some experience as a running back in high school. He's just an incredible do-it-all type player. So don't be surprised if Kendrick Law got a few carries, in the run game.
Jermaine Burton could have a big day. He's kind of – I know Coach Saban talked about him a little bit yesterday, but Jermaine Burton, another X factor for Saturday.
Yeah, I just, in this game, Jermaine's a really emotional guy, and I think his biggest thing in a game like this is, hey, Jermaine, you don't have to go prove anything to your former team, and you just – that's the one thing with Jermaine. I think if he stays focused, he's obviously an extremely talented kid. He's got to maintain his emotions, and I hope in this game that he can do that, not get carried away. But Jermaine Burton, I think you look at this wide receiver core as a whole, you see the maturation of Isaiah Bond. I really thought Malik Benson looked to be gaining some confidence. I know he had only one catch, but he looked very confident coming across the middle, making that play, the run after the catch. He's got legit speed. Now you think about, sometimes, and I know you guys know this, but just to point it out, sometimes Nick Saban in the very latter part of the year, he starts unveiling guys that are really starting to kind of develop. So keep an eye on Malik Benson with that speed, Bond, speed, Burton with his speed and quickness. These are the kind of things that Georgia struggles with on deep balls, deep throws. They struggle covering a lot of these guys. I think Alabama, even though Georgia's secondary is really, really good, they're great, but I do think that this Alabama wide receiver core can make some hay.
And then defensively, Rodney, we know that Deontay Lawson's been banged up, Jalen Key. They were still coming back last week. It'll be interesting to see how healthy they are. The defensive line is going to have to play with, I think, more intensity. They did earlier in the season, but, I don't think they played as well against Auburn at times. They're going to have to really bring the wood on Saturday.
Yeah, I don't think they've played well the last few weeks, actually. Just kind of. I didn't think they played with a lot of intensity against Chattanooga, actually.
Yeah.
And discipline sometimes. I know Auburn did some things up front. I was talking to someone, a former coach, and he just said, Auburn was doing some things up front, offensively, doing some things in their run game that was a little different, and Alabama got out of their gaps. They did not have integrity, which Nick Saban always talks about, that discipline up front. But it's going to be a different kind of game. It was quickly pointed out. This is going to be more conventional. Alabama's not going to see some things they saw against Auburn. It's going to be more conventional. And don't forget now, Georgia struggled stopping Auburn's run as well.
They did.
They did some things against Georgia and kind of had a lot of success. So. I agree with you. I think the defensive line and hopefully everyone's healthy. I know Otis is, he's been a guy that Jaheim Otis is. You expected him to be pretty dominant this year, and I know he's been a little banged up. I'm not really sure the extent of what he's going through, but I think that he's going to have to play well. Obviously, Aboybe and Tim Keenan and Damon Payne and all those guys are going to really have to step up.
Yeah, they really are. And Rodney, Alabama wins as we're wrapping it up with you. If they do what are the keys?
Well, I think, Drew, this is a cliche game.
Right. Yeah.
It really is. It's just a cliche game. It's you got to be able to stop the run. You've got to be able to, run the football to some extent. You've got to be able to do the fundamental things because it's going to be a mentally tough, a physically tough game. Both. You're going to take some blows, and you got to be able to deliver some blows. So all of those things are. But I would say this: the one thing I think about is, I think you've got to be able to get some kind of pressure on the quarterback, Beck. He's completing 72% of his passes. And I think you got to get your hands up. You've got to disrupt things. You've got to knock some passes down. I think that's going to be a real key. And then on the other side, I think Kirby's probably a little worried about Milroe.
Yeah.
And I would say this. To me, Milroe has got to be he's made fantastic improvement. But last week I'm sitting there watching this game and I'm saying, Jalen, you're overthinking this. Sometimes you just got to be decisive and take off and run.
Mm-hmm.
I admire him, the determination he has to be a pocket passer, and he's made incredible improvement. And I think he can throw the football in this game. But take off, make Georgia pay if you get an opportunity, and protect the football. Above all else, protect the football. But those are some of the things, for Alabama that I think they have to do. And I picked the game 31-28 Alabama on Tighter Insider TV. But it's going to be, Drew, let's just be honest, Drew and Scott, this is going to be a knockdown drag out.
It really is.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Rodney. We appreciate it. We know it's a busy time for you. Let everybody know how to follow you guys at TighterInsider.com, where I know the conversation's been lively all week and will be this weekend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, TighterInsider.com. It's only $48 a year, and you can get instant access with your credit card. Or, if you prefer, there is an address there to send a check. Because y'all are premium information. We had a recruiting update yesterday. We've got Nick Saban's comments from yesterday. All of those things right there on the front page. But also our All Sports Forum. That's part of our premium package. It's our community of Alabama fans. And as you guys know, it's really never stops right there on TighterInsider.com.
Thanks, Rodney.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, let's get a break in. Wrap up Hour 1 coming up next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looking at a clean slate this morning, traffic at a heavy level all across the valley, but we're not seeing any major snags. You be careful on your trip in. Put extra room in there so you got somewhere to go if something does go wrong around you. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Did you know that average home equity is at an all-time high, but so is average consumer debt? Even though rates are higher now, you can use your equity to pay off your high consumer debt, student loans, etc., then refi when the rates drop. Don't put off that new home purchase. When rates drop, prices will go up. Buy now and get the best price and then refi when the rates drop. This is the time to talk to the experts at North Alabama Mortgage. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com for more information.
Welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you. 256-576-4977. Let's go out to the phone lines. Pat from T-Town with us this morning. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, I'm going down. Good morning, Drew. I'm going down to the metropolis of Leroy, Alabama this evening to watch Alvin Henderson run over the Bears the same way he did Maplesville. He had 315 yards against Maplesville. I was there to watch it. That there's nothing this young man can't do, Drew.
Yeah, he's a really good back. I mean, from what I hear, I think he's an Auburn lean, but it's very interesting to to watch the numbers that he's putting up heading into his senior season. I think they're definitely the favorites in my opinion in 1A.
Yep, that I did everything I could to tell all of his kin people that, including his mom, and that at Alabama we'll keep him eligible, and at Auburn they just don't do the same level of working with the kids to keep them eligible, and he's going to need that from what I understand, and But anyway, it's just, I just want to let you know that I was headed down to see him, and I'll give you a report Monday morning when I get back. But hey, tell me about, what do y'all think the score on this deal is going to be tomorrow with Georgia and Alabama? I believe in 31-17 Alabama, and that we do enough to make it into the playoffs.
Well, I'll just say this: if Alabama beats Georgia 31-17, and the committee doesn't put Alabama in the playoff, then I don't really think they should even play it, because you're in the twilight zone.
Right.
I mean, if they beat Georgia that soundly, I've got it 27-23 Alabama. Rodney Orders picked 31-28 for the Crimson Tide. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a classic game, Pat, no doubt about it. And I think the winner should be in. But I do think Alabama is going to get some help. I may be wrong on this, but I expect some chaos starting tonight with the Oregon Ducks. I know Husky Dan believes that the Washington can win. And if they win, they're in. I have no problem with that. They would have beaten Oregon twice and been 13-0 and Pac-12 champs in one of the two best leagues along with the SEC in college football this year. But, again, I like Oregon in the game tonight.
Yeah, I got you. That I want the opportunity to beat Bo Nix down and to beat and to beat Texas again, or to beat Texas, to knock Texas out of it. That they such blowhards.
No, that would be a stunner right there if they, But it would be college football. You lose at home to South Alabama 33-7, and then you beat the T-Sipping Longhorns.
Yeah. All right. Hey, y'all have a blessed day, guys.
Safe travels, Pat.
Thank
you, man.
Yeah. So, scoring against Georgia.
Yeah.
We say 31 points. Georgia has allowed opponents to score 10 points this year, but nobody has scored more than 23 against Georgia this year. So, what makes you confident that Alabama can score 31?
Well, I just think, look, man, I think Alabama's the best team Georgia's going to see by far and away. I've got Alabama scoring 27.
Okay.
So I've got it high 20s.
I think what did Grady pick? Grady's was close as well. His was 3 points, I believe.
I believe he picked 31-28.
Yeah.
So I told him, I said, look, you and I are on the same wavelength as far as the game, but I just think it's going to be played in the high 20s. Because I said on 680 The Fan last night, I said, look, I think it's going to be the over-under between 51 and 54 points. I don't expect some kind of arena football game to break out or whatever, but this is also modern college football. I don't expect the 2011 LSU Alabama either in the first. And remember, even in the rematch, there was 5 field goals until Alabama finally broke through in the fourth quarter, scored a touchdown.
Think about this.
I think it's just going to be, by the great Trent Richardson, I think it's going to be a 27-23 game.
Alabama has scored on 42 of 45 trips into the red zone this season.
Right.
The Georgia defense has only faced 30 red zone possessions this year altogether. So something is going to have to give on Saturday. Both have strengths, both have weaknesses. Which one will reign supreme? All right, we got to get a break in. When we come back, we got high school football to talk about.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Take the guesswork out of your holiday gifts. OmahaSteaks.com for 50% off site-wide and save an additional $30 with promo code VSIN. OmahaSteaks.com.
Thursday night football, the Cowboys extended their home winning streak to 14 with a 41-35 win over the Seahawks. Dak Prescott threw 3 touchdown passes. His 12-yard pass to Jake Ferguson put Dallas in front with 4.5 minutes left. Geno Smith had 3 touchdown passes to DK Metcalf in the loss. That included a 73-yard reception. Not enough, though, as the Seahawks drop under 500 with their 3rd consecutive setback. Dallas has wins in 4 straight. They're creeping up behind the Eagles in the race for the top spot in the NFC East. The teams will battle a week from Sunday. As for last night, Dallas was a 9.5-point favorite. Get the latest lines and more at vsin.com.
WCZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
All right, we hope you're ready for hour number 2. We are. Just 60 more minutes left in our week, 60 more minutes to get you ready for tomorrow, to get you ready for tonight. And when I say tonight,
right,
I'm not talking about the $24 Pac-12 title game. I'm talking about...
You'll get even better value for this one.
You get a better value, and it's going to be half the cost. Literally probably half the cost. That's because we got high school football tonight. Madison Academy semifinals. You win the 60 minutes. You go to Tuscaloosa to play for the 3A title game. That's all that's at stake here. And SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center, they're a proud training provider, a proud sponsor of Madison Academy football, and they want you to visit their Saturday sports clinic for all those sports-related injuries. So each Saturday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., you can visit 4715 Whitesburg Drive, the SportsMed Saturday Sports Clinic. That's because tonight, high school football once again, Madison Academy, they are 60 minutes away from a final appearance. Same can be said for their opponent, Geraldine, as well, though.
Yeah, absolutely. Geraldine, under the third-year guidance of Michael Davis, they're 28-9 in his tenure there. They've done an amazing job, but we know we treasure our relationship with Madison Academy. Their 5th-year head football coach, who's already made a semifinal run with this program, trying to take that next step to get to the state championship game. This is a program that won 3 straight titles, in 2012, 2013, 2014. They are a program that has been striving to get back here. We know Coach Bob Gotze won a championship in 2011 with the Hartselle Tigers over the Viger Wolves, and he is going to join us now on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, coming off of one of the best high school football games I've ever had the privilege of witnessing against Sylvania last week, which was a true gut check moment. But now they have another hill to climb tonight, and this will be on the road for the first time during their playoff journey, as the Geraldine Bulldogs will be hosting Madison Academy. And Bob Gotze is with us this morning. Coach, good morning.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
We're doing good, Coach. I know weather not ideal right now, but the good part about this is you faced this kind of adversity a couple weeks already during this 5-week run, which is what you have to do to win a state championship. So nothing this team hasn't seen, and what a gut check also for your team last week in finishing against a extremely well-coached Sylvania football team.
Well, they had a good football team, obviously, and I think we've played some really good teams so far. Not that anybody hasn't. I mean, that's just playoff football. And just super proud of our guys. Super proud of the poise that they played with, especially down the stretch. Relentless effort, and was able to get a stop, and then the last couple of minute drives there. Once again, I think our guys just showed unbelievable poise to cash that thing in. There with about 20 seconds left. So exciting times. Making a lot of memories that these guys can share with each other and talk about for a long time.
Coach, when you watch the film from last Friday, what kind of stood out to you on how your team played?
Well, I thought we played pretty well. You know, what they do offense was just very difficult, and they create so many extra gaps. We battled in there. Didn't always do what we set out to do. Didn't always execute what we wanted to execute. But give Sylvania credit for that as well. They're very good at what they do from the offensive line standpoint, the running back. Came in with a goal of keeping the ball away from us and limiting our snaps, and it's just it's playoff football that you got to take advantage of the opportunities that you get when you get them, and our guys did that. Once again, I think they showed incredible perseverance and poise. Just never seemed to doubt, never seemed to question. Just kept their eyes focused and continued to move forward.
Well, and I think the whole season kind of, accumulated in that opportunity with, I love to think about 3:09 left, Coach, when you finally forced the punt because you had one stop in the first half, and that led to a 21-14 lead. And then until the clinching interception, you got the one stop to get the ball back with 3 minutes to go. But it all kind of just built to this point of you have one drive to keep your season alive.
It does. I mean, and that's the playoff football. That's the way it ought to be, really. When you break it down, and I think you look. 2 weeks ago we had to have the big stop to preserve the win, to protect the win, and then last week we had to have the big drive to get a win, and these guys they rally together. Once again, I think we've shown incredible poise and incredible perseverance and moxie, however you want to put it, in these tough situations, and that's what playoff football is about, is being able to do these things under pressure, with the game on the line, and so far we've been able to meet those challenges.
Well, Coach, now you look at tonight. I mean, the fortunate thing for Madison Academy has been you've been able to enjoy this run at home. Mm-hmm. Now you got to go on the road in the semifinals. A little bit different test.
Well, it is, and then again, it's not. I rely on the maturity of our team. I think our guys, kind of understand what's at stake. We've traveled well, all year. I don't expect that to be a huge factor as we move forward. I think it's just another experience, another opportunity, for us to overcome.
Well, and Coach, I'm gonna go back and take a quote from my childhood, and it's from Brett the Hitman Hart. He always said the excellence of execution, and that's what I saw with your offense, especially to close out this game. I saw your quarterback, who we've talked about his journey with you since he's been with you in January and how he's progressed. And then I know they did a good job for much of the game, but then the opportunities Jackson Reese got on that last drive, and then, of course, putting the ball in the hands of your best player, Ken Cherry, on fourth down. Instead of taking a chance on a snap, a kick, all that, you give it to your best player.
Well, I think that's what you do. I think about all that Kid Cherry has done. I think about Reese Baker and Brock Horton and Austin Chambers and Jackson Reese, and, A.J. Rice. Those guys they put a ton into this. I mean, an unbelievable amount into this. So, we got a young kicker that's, he's still figuring it out, and his time will come. He's a hard worker, and he's been really good for it. But, when it comes down to it, we're going to ride with those guys. And thank goodness it worked out. But, they got us down there, all of those guys, handling their business, doing their things. And, they gave us that opportunity throughout the game. So, we were going to ride, with those guys. And, you mentioned Jake. It starts at the quarterback position, and when you have a guy that plays with a lot of poise back there, that kind of carries over to the rest of the guys. And he was extremely poised in that. The big 4th and 16 play, we just missed the same play. I think 2 plays before that, and we were confident to go back to it. We just went back to it from the other side and felt like Jackson, would be open and had a little bit of pressure. Had to get it out a little bit quick the first time. And we protected well on that second one. He threw a strike, which, gave us an opportunity down close.
Coach, I can hear the emotion in your voice when you talk about those, when you talk about your guys and your kids. And I think sometimes we get caught up in the X's and O's and the wins and losses, and we forget how much of a team teams can actually be.
Right.
Especially this group, extremely close. And, most of these guys were pups when we got here, so we've all kind of grown together. And it's for an old ball coach. It's gratifying to see them rally together in a moment like that, and cash in. Because they put, like I said, they put a lot into this. They put a lot of time and effort and trust. Not only in us as coaches, but in each other. As we try desperately to teach that and help them understand that and hopefully carry that into this world where there's not a lot of trust. Let's face it, there's just not a lot of trust out there. And, hopefully these guys, they've proven that it's a fun group to be around, and really looking forward, to the opportunities that we have tonight.
No doubt. And speaking of those, Coach, for our listeners, we know how special Sand Mountain football is. They got you got Pisgah Live, Fife, you got Geraldine. We know the kind of team Sylvania had that you just had to get past last week. But give us an idea. Geraldine beat this Fife team. They were a very good program. They've kind of been under the radar because of so many other really good ones around Sand Mountain. But what kind of style does this Geraldine team play?
Well, we're going to see a lot of the same stuff that we saw last week. They all play a similar brand of football over there, which is very, very, hard-nosed and tough, type game. A lot of the run game. The thing that Geraldine does is they give you a bunch of formations to do a few things, and they do it very well. They have, a very good running back. Their quarterback's a big guy, 6'3", 6'4", 230 or so, and just that size causes you problems, whether he's a blocker, whether he's, running it. He throws the ball well, on top of that. So the multiple formations that they give you probably is the most difficult thing. Just, they do a good job of trading and switching and changing their formations and can get you outnumbered or get you flustered, kind of get you on your heels if you're not dialed in. So, that'll be our test, there from a mental standpoint. And then physically just being able to execute what we need to, defensively.
Mm-hmm. And then, Coach, as we're wrapping it up with you, I know there's always 2 or 3 keys really to winning a game, and I know with the potential of the weather tonight that ball security and also from your end defensively creating some kind of negative plays, because creating a negative play and drawing a penalty is kind of what turned the game against Sylvania around, Coach.
Well, that's you got to get them behind the chains.
Right,
they're
off schedule.
Perfectly content to go 2-3 yards when you're thinking that's a good play defensively. They're perfectly content with that and go for it on 4th and 1 and 2. That's kind of what they want to do. So you got to create some negative plays and try to get them behind the chains. Hopefully get a turnover here or there. Then you flip that on the other side, and we have to take advantage of our opportunities on offense. Continue to protect the ball, and that's just playoff football. And the team that executes the best and is the toughest in the moment, tends to move on. So we'll have to do those things tonight.
Well, we certainly look forward to it. It'll be Glenn Laird, Steve Moulton on the call. Download our app if you haven't, but you can also listen on our main feed. Madison Academy trying to clinch a berth in the Super 7 next week in Tuscaloosa. What a season it's been. The Mustangs coming in 13-0, and we hope to see them move on to 14-0 against a very, very good Geraldine team coached by Michael Davis. Coach Godson, we appreciate the time as always. Safe travels to Geraldine for you and your coaches and kids, and we look forward to the game tonight.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you always.
All right. That's Bob Gonzi, Masson Academy head coach. And, of course, don't forget you can experience the SportsMed difference. SportsMed Orthopedic Surgery and Spine Center. They are dedicated to providing care that improves lives. Give them a call, 256-881-5151, to experience that SportsMed difference. They are the official training providers for One Madison Academy and UAH Chargers. So let's get a break in, shall we? When we come back, we'll run down some numbers in Atlanta that just may have the Alabama's favor. We'll explain.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a wreck reported northbound on the Parkway about veterans drives in the middle or number 2 lane. No injury reported. And they just canceled EMS on that wreck on East Pike Road near Falkville. That's in Morgan County. Had a vehicle hit a tree there. Someone dies from heart disease every 36 seconds. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialist on Bob Wallace Avenue can help you to keep your heart healthy. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
Hey there, Bob Baumhauer here. Score big deals at Baumhauer's this football season and order from our Inflation Bites menu. Try our Buffalo Wing Special with fries and a complimentary beverage for only $9.99. And what's football without a cold beer? Our pitchers of Yingling and Yingling Flight are only $7.99, served all day, 7 days a week. And huddle up, football fans. Sign up today for our free NFL Pick'em contest at Baumhauers.com for weekly prizes. Baumhauers, legendary fun and legendary food.
Since 1986, Full Moon Barbecue has been cooking quality meats low and slow over a hickory wood-fired pit. From ribs and wings, brisket, turkey, catfish, and sausage to the best butts in town. If you're planning a holiday or a birthday party, Full Moon has a large banquet room. And Full Moon is ready for your next catering or tailgate. Just call us and we'll take care of everything. 256-713-0070. Full Moon Barbecue on the Parkway next to Costco. The best little pork house in Alabama.
Chapman Commercial Realty, your source for Alabama commercial real estate. Chapman Commercial Realty has the experience and expertise you're looking for when making commercial real estate decisions. If it's office space, retail space, investment property, or project development, Chapman Commercial Realty is your answer. Call Bill Chapman today at 256-656-8413. That's 256-656-8413. Or find them online at chapmancommercialrealty.com.
All right, welcome back. Talking about 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond. Got to be quicker than the draw there. Got to get back on the show. So anyway, Nick Saban's going to Atlanta today, and he's going to take his Crimson Tide football program, and they're going to play a little 4 quarters inside Mercedes-Benz Stadium against the vaunted Georgia Bulldogs, who own a 29-game win streak. Now, Alabama lost the 2008 SEC championship to the eventual national champion Florida. Remember that one? That was the year before Alabama got it going.
2008, yeah.
Yep.
Second year for Saban.
All right. Since then,
yeah,
Alabama has not lost in Atlanta. They've not lost in Atlanta. Alabama has 16 consecutive wins in Atlanta. 12 of those have been by double digits. Of the 4 single-digit wins in Atlanta, 3 have come against Georgia.
Oh, there have been some classics.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. And I think this one Saturday could be as well.
So Alabama is carrying a 16 consecutive game win streak with them in Atlanta. Now, of course, the old Georgia Dome has seen most of those. 2017, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those have come inside new Mercedes-Benz Stadium, by the way. 2017, of course, being the first one, and that was the 24-7 win over number 3 Florida State in the game of the century, the game of the millennium. Remember that one? DeAndre Francois, Alabama, Florida State.
The end of Dirt Neck in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
Once they had to bring the stretcher out for DeAndre.
That was it. That was it. Since then, they have gotten a win over number 3 Georgia, number 4 Georgia, Duke, number 11 Florida, number 14 Miami, and number 1 Georgia in the Mercedes-Benz. All right, Jeff from Burrow is with us. Good morning, Jeff.
How's it going, guys?
Good. What's going up?
Well, I was going to ask you guys. I was listening to all these press conferences. If y'all don't want to, then don't play them. I mean, y'all thought you wanted to get the game on? So, I mean.
We're just saying it's overkill.
Yeah, it is overkill, but I mean, we also got to do what we got to do.
Yeah,
we got to play some of that.
We had a teleconference yesterday. Steve got 6,542 questions into Nick Saban. It was interesting.
I mean, that many? Wow, I didn't think.
It was
several.
It was a video conference.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I didn't think in press people didn't know that many words to have that many questions.
Well, I mean, they allowed. I mean, they were allowing follow-up questions, and Steve got in some good questions. He even got an interesting response about a tug of war.
Did they ask whether you went tomorrow for breakfast too?
No, I didn't hear that one.
Doggone. We better hurry up and get that on this question. I don't know.
What did you have for breakfast, Jeff? What did you have there? What did you have for breakfast today?
I have not had breakfast yet. I've not had breakfast.
Okay.
I've had breakfast. But I just want to say, guys, you talking about Tennessee, man. I'll tell you up here, guys, Tennessee is mad. They're 8-4 in football. I know you guys don't think that, but they are.
Why wouldn't we think that?
They're very angry, and then they're also angry because they've lost 3 straight in basketball. I don't know why they're angry about that.
I wish they were 0-12 in football, personally, myself.
Well, I wish they were too, but they're 8-4. I mean, and they lost to Missouri. When they're mad they lost to Missouri, but they're Missouri and Georgia. They're mad at those games.
Look, I could see that. I could see them being mad to losing to Missouri because of the way Missouri beat them.
Yeah, Missouri beat them like
Missouri
a yard dog.
handled them, and I can see being upset about that one.
Well, the thing about it when they beat them 62-20 the previous 2 years too. That's why they're mad.
Yeah, that's true.
The last 2 years.
Yeah, Heupel ran it up, and then this year got his ass handed to him.
No, he did.
And then they wonder why they. And then they're mad when Missouri runs it up. That make any sense to you? That make any sense? They score a bunch of points, 36-7. They get mad at that. That make no sense, does it? I mean, Tennessee can run it up on people, have fun with nobody, but they can't get run up on Tennessee. Somebody runs it up on them, and you can't do it. And that's like the other night, North Carolina had Tennessee's butt beaten. Of course, they went and they still won, but they only won by 8. But still. But I mean, it's just that's what Tennessee is. They can beat people bad, but they can't take it. That's their biggest. They can't take getting beat themselves. But stuff like it. But I've heard they're going to go to the maybe the bowl used to be the Outback Bowl instead of the other bowl game. There's the Gator Bowl. They say, have y'all heard that? That they might play Notre Dame. They say.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And they say LSU trying to avoid LSU and Notre Dame. I don't know why they'd want to avoid that.
I think they'd beat Notre Dame like a rented mule myself. But
I mean, they don't want Brian.
They'd have to outscore them, but.
Well, yeah, they said they're going to play, and I've heard
pay Jaden Daniels some NIL money to pay.
And the thing is, with these bowl games, I mean, we're like, oh, they're going to go to this bowl game. For these Power 5 teams, half the guys aren't going to show up anyway.
Yeah, we'll see.
Well, I mean, there's already been a couple of them that declared for the draft. Can tell you that Davis and there's a lineman, Horsey. They've declared for the draft. They're not going to play.
Yeah,
they've already
it's like.
They've already had 2 or 3 guys going with transfer portal.
Yeah, the only ones that show up are the group of 5 guys. And the group of 5 guys will show up. And by the way, speaking of that, it is expected and it'll be announced when they do all the bowl games. But it is expected that Jacksonville State and Louisiana will face off against each other in the New Orleans Bowl.
So it's Louisiana now, not the champion of life.
It's not Louisiana. Was it Monroe? It's Louisiana.
Yeah,
it's Louisiana, but they go by
the Fighting Connor neighbors.
Yeah, it's the Raging Cajuns.
Yeah,
that'd be a good ball game for. I mean, it's not very far to travel. That'd be a good game for them. They should have a good crowd over here, you would think. I mean,
Jeff, I just got a message. Is Larry Fedora going to be the next coach at Middle Tennessee?
I have no idea. I've heard, but that one name is Butch Jones.
Oh Lord!
5 years old. We sure don't want him coaching.
Yeah, he's
Butch
turning
Jones.
around Arkansas State.
I mean, they had a guy listed a bunch of names yesterday, and that was one of them. And then there's a guy that's Tennessee at Tennessee right now. They think he might be, but there was about 10 names that they listed in the paper. He was one of them. Butch Jones was one of them.
Look, I'll say this. I never thought Rich Rodriguez would ever end up at Jacksonville State. So you never know.
Though.
You never know who might end up there. They can throw out a bunch of names, but I never would have penciled Rich Rodriguez to end up at JSU.
What about Terry Bowden at Louisiana? Nobody thought he'd ever
been. That's true. That's another good one, Jeff. Yeah.
Nobody thought he'd ever been up there. But y'all have a good weekend, guys.
Thanks. Yeah,
they could hire Darth Vader.
They throw out all these names and they throw out everything. I never would have thought Rich Rodriguez. And it worked out well. It's worked out well for them, making that jump to Conference USA. They're going to a bowl game, and they're going to have success. All right. Brandon is with us. Good morning, Brandon.
Morning.
I'm personally glad that Rich Rodriguez is in Jacksonville State, so I'll just put that out there and let that be it. He's a good man. Merry Christmas, Rich. If you're listening, I appreciate you. Personal reason.
Well, we're going to try to catch up with Rich Rod before they go to the New Orleans Bowl there, Brandon.
Hey, I want to talk about another new coach.
Right.
So Calhoun High School, that's right here above us, who's had a plethora of success over the last 20 years. Hal Lamb was a coach up there. He has now come back as the athletic director at Calhoun. They failed to make the playoffs for the first time in 20 years this year.
Oh, wow.
Well, his son, Trey Lamb, is now the new coach at ETSU.
Oh, okay. East Tennessee. Gotcha.
Yeah. So the coaching tree from around here just continues to grow. The northeast Alabama, northwest Georgia area. So he's going in and he's taking over a program that was 0-10. So any wins he gets next year are going to be really huge for him. Yeah. And I'm really interested to see what's going to become of this. I need to text him and tell him that if an angry guy that works for the newspaper named Jeff calls him or comes around, that he needs to run.
Oh boy, here we go.
The going to be very interesting to see what he does up there. He's a very young coach.
Yeah,
he's not one of these older guys that's been a retread. I think they took a chance on him, and I'm very proud. If I'm ever going through there, I promise to drive the speed limit. I feel like I'm out of get out of jail free cards for a little while, so. But just really, really, really looking forward to see what he's going to do up there next year. And from what I was told, they are saying that they want to get on Tennessee's schedule. So I'm wondering how long it's going to be before such a thing could possibly happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a great question. I mean,
probably about, I would say maybe 5-6 years, because I mean a lot of these schedules have already been out.
Especially with this expanded.
And
remember, speaking of that, I guess December the 13th, they're fixing to announce the rest of the dates is what the SEC office released yesterday.
Yeah, I don't know. They usually come out. They say the 13th, but somebody will get them like on the 10th or whatever.
Well, Sankey did crack me up a little bit yesterday when he said, they're trying to work on their, like leaks.
Yeah, they got a lot of them. Yeah.
Well, I guess my question is with all this going down, how many holes are going to be created for stuff that was non-conference that are going to be canceled because of the new SEC schedule that's coming?
There'll be a bunch. There'll be a bunch of buyouts. I mean, they'll have to give them a bunch because there's just no way, a lot of these games that were scheduled for like 2028 or whatever, they're not going to be played. And I think that's a lot of why it takes so long to get the schedules, is because you got teams that have got to do these buyouts.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. I mean, if your conference is canceling them, because of realignment, I'd be looking at the conference and saying, hey, I didn't cancel this. You did. You pay it.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're right. You're right. I mean, that's it. And, because the SEC made Georgia cancel their game with Oklahoma this year. Remember, Georgia was supposed to play Oklahoma.
Yeah.
They should have just played that as a one-time neutral site and let it go on.
Yeah.
Yeah, preview the SEC.
Should have, but they didn't.
So, gentlemen, roll Tide.
Well, 9 days and counting. 9 days and counting till we come over to Rome. So just letting you know.
He's counted down.
I'll be here. My question is: you want the tomahawk? You want a strip? What you want me to talk to Chef Eric John Henry?
Tomahawk, baby. Tomahawk.
A tomahawk.
Tomahawk.
Let me send him a message to see if we can get the tomahawk. Now, the question is, Drew, this is gonna be the closing bell. Is Drew gonna come to the final game in Rome? And are we gonna tell Coach Shulman if he's coming or not? We're gonna let that be a surprise.
Well,
I would probably just not tell him because then he'd probably try to ban me from the gym.
Well, if he comes, I mean, UAH
because the last time I showed up, it just didn't go well.
UAH usually doubles the crowd when we get to shorter, so you can come and help. All right, thanks, Brandon.
Thank you, sir.
We got to get a break because the next guy has been very busy. I mean, he has been busy because he's had a coaching search to go through, and he's had all kinds of stuff, and the fallout from Jimbo Jertneck Fisher, a lot of kind of stuff. But Brent Zerneman,
Bobby,
our good friend in Houston, is going to join us next.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Emily Owen. For this Friday, expect scattered showers throughout this entire day. High temperatures look to top out in the lower 60s for the afternoon. We could also see gusty winds as high as 30 miles per hour. Heading into your Friday night, a few lingering showers and thunderstorms going to be possible. Otherwise, we'll continue to sit under a cloudy sky. Low temperatures falling into the upper 50s for the overnight. I'm Fox 54 meteorologist Emily Owen on your home for ESPN Radio 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Had a no-injury wreck reported on the Parkway northbound at Veterans Drive, middle lane there. And we got East Pike Road in Morgan County in Falkville, west of I-65. Had a vehicle hit a tree. That one's going to turn out, though, to be a no-injury. The end of the year's coming. If you need temp, admin, or accounting help, Snelling can help. Snelling, how the area's best companies hire talent. Huntsville.snelling.com. Captain Nick in the 72 and Jeff Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Watch the Alabama High School Super 7 Football Championship presented by Alabama Community College System December 6th through the 8th on Alabama Public Television. It's all the gut-wrenching, hard-hitting, high-flying action you've come to expect from...
Wait, Alabama Public Television? Okay.
Watch every game live December 6th through the 8th only on your new home for high school sports, APT.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-306-8158 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-306-8158. That's 800-306-8158. What do you have to lose? Call 800-306-8158. Again, 800-306-8158.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
Rambo Marine in Hazel Green is your one-stop shop for all things boating. Whether you are ready to surf with the newest Malibu wake boat or cruise on a Cobalt or Barletta pontoon, we have a boat ready for you and your family. Rambo Marine provides exceptional service second to none, so that you are ready to hit the water in no time. Stop by Rambo Marine today. We know boats.
The heat is definitely on, and that is in reference to the fact that we've got our conference championship games coming up starting tonight, going all the way through tomorrow. But the heat now is on. Is the heat on Mike Elko now? Or is it, hey, coming on in, new
well, look,
new time?
I think it's always pressure at A&M, but I think he's a much better fit than the head coach. They just canned, quite frankly. I think he did a great job. That's one good move that Jimbo did, was bringing in Mike Elko from Wake Forest, and I thought Mike did a great job. I thought he did a great job at Duke. I said the whole time, a guy like Elko or Jeff Traylor I think would be a better fit. Don't worry about winning the press conference. Worry about winning games. And I thought Ross Bjork and A&M actually did a good job this time. Now, in between that, they had the flirtation with, as we know, with Mark Stoops, and we're going to talk about that and more with our next guest. He does a great job with the Houston Chronicle covering the Texas A&M Aggies. He is extremely busy, so we always really appreciate the time he gives us. And we're talking about Brent Zvorneman, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Brent, I know you've been busy with family. I know you've also been busy chasing a coaching search and others, things. I hope you had a happy Thanksgiving, man, but thank you for joining us.
Happy Thanksgiving to y'all. Hey, don't y'all love that they have – Ross Bjork made a big point to say, hey, this contract is going to be heavily incentivized. A&M's going to be on the cutting edge. This contract has a base salary of $7 million. That's where we are now. A base salary of $7 million is heavily incentivized.
This is crazy.
Yeah, so if they win the national title under Mike Elko, I think it's a $3.5 million bonus, but the others that are in the contract don't add up. So it would be about 10.5, which I think the Aggies would happily take a national title for $10.5 million in paying their coach.
So in other words, they've learned their lesson?
I'm never going to say that about Aggies and their money because they have so much to spend, or at least I thought they did, or at least they did in the past. Now suddenly they're kind of with this idea of, when we saw the $11 million base pool, the salary pool for the assistants, and that's the entire staff, we're like, wow, $11 million. Ross Bjork goes, well, actually, that's less than the $13.7 million that was for Jimbo, so we're cutting back. So that was one way. Yeah, so you say they learned their lesson, but again, they are bent. John Sharp is the getting on up there in age, with all proper respect, chancellor who's an Aggie grad who would love to see A&M win a national title before he steps down from that role or retires from that role or what have you. So yes, even though we say they learned their lesson on maybe a guaranteed 10-year type deal, they're still spending to try to win that title.
Well, and I've known you for many years, and we were very blessed to speak with you after you broke the story with Oklahoma and Texas. Leaving the Big 12 for the SEC. And as soon as you tweeted out, hey, this Mark Stoops thing is far from done, I knew that's when my antenna went up. I was like, this may very well not happen. How far down the road did the Mark Stoops thing get?
Yeah, I did. Yesterday I wrote a column on kind of exploring that, and I put out multiple messages to as many people involved in that. Said, okay, look, I want to try to tell this story as accurately as possible. You can either help me with that or not. and a few chose to help me. So I think I was able to kind of accurately portray it. But yes, it was down the road. And I will say this: so A&M has a new president, Mark Walsh, who's a 4-star general, very respectable leader. You know, A&M feels fortunate to have gotten him to agree to be president and all this. He stepped into the role of really helping in the process of being present for interviews and things like that. And kind of my understanding is that small group really got impressed by Mark Stoops late in the process. That Mike Elko, they knew, would always be there for him. Jeff Traylor was a guy I thought would have been a really good choice because he's from East Texas. He recruits the heck out of the state and kind of gets that idea with the idea that you also have to recruit nationally. So Stoops was kind of a late entry into it. But when that name leaked from the Kentucky side, you know, as a truly serious candidate on Saturday evening, the backlash was, as I'm sure y'all saw. Now, some people did. So, you know, I heard from some Aggies saying that they actually slept through it, and they slept through the Mark Stoops era, which is great. You know, if you went to bed early on Saturday and wake up and go, okay, what's all this? It was immediate, and it was ferocious, and across the board of Aggies saying, I think the idea was, at least with Mike Elko, there's still some mystery in terms of what he can do as a head coach. And I know Mark Stoops has done a good job at, you know, basketball crazy Kentucky and everything, but having been there 11 years, never winning so much as an East title, 35-55 over that time in the SEC. Aggies saw that, and they go, you know, Mike Elko is at least familiar with A&M and has a good relationship with the Texas High School Coaches Association. So somewhere along that way that evening, going back to what you said, hey, you know, I'm checking in with sources and things like that and said, please put this as no offer has been made. Any reports that say otherwise are premature and are inaccurate. And so that seemed to kind of help calm things. And then from then on, you know, and as I wrote in that column yesterday, they wanted to make sure there was only one true official offer ever made, and that was to Mike Elko. But the whole Stoops thing was certainly added some intrigue, and because of that, there will be comparisons for years to come between those two and what they do moving forward. But in the end, I think they made a really, you know, and sports writers were a little bit selfish, but Mike Elko, the few times we were able to visit with him under Jimbo Fisher, always really good with us, very insightful, helpful, took his time. So in that sense, you know, and they truly do seem to love Texas A&M, and I'm sure part of that is doubling the salary as well.
Well,
from about 3.5 at Duke to that $7 million base we talked about. But in the end, part of the column said all's well that ends well for the Aggies, but certainly a lot of drama over the past weekend getting to that point.
Well, yeah, a lot of drama. And so if they were in an uproar of potentially having Mark Stoops, I think of his brother, yeah.
But Mike was with him at Kentucky, though.
Uproar as well.
No, we had the name wrong. It was not Mark, it was Mike.
It was Mike, yes. Yes. Oh, my goodness.
Now they probably would have both been at A&M.
So the uproar over Mark Stoops, how do they feel then about Elko coming in
and the staff he made
and the staff that he's going to build? Right. I mean, is that enough to make the fan base say and get on board with this and be like, okay, this is the guy now that can take us to the top?
Yeah, maybe A&M all along was just playing 4D chess with us here in terms of saying, okay, we're going to throw out the name. We'll start with Mark Stoops, then go to Mike Stoops, and then when you get to Mike Elko, maybe they'll say, wow, Elko's a really good choice compared to anybody named Stoops at this point. And so, you know, maybe I don't really think that's the way it played out. But Aggies, in comparison, saying, okay, is it going to be Mark Stoops or Mike Elko? You know, 98% were, hey, Mike Elko. So then in the end, Aggies were happy or relieved or content with the hire when there was also the idea that a guy like Jed Fish out at Arizona was in the mix late, but didn't really, you know, wasn't ever really one of the finalists. But Aggies wanted to say, okay, hey, get this offensive-minded guy in here. But really, with Mike Elko, he's the first defensive-minded coach A&M has hired since R.C. Slocum. Slocum also the last guy to even win a league title at A&M, because then you're talking about Dennis Franchione, Mike Sherman, Kevin Sumlin, Jimbo Fisher. All offensive-minded guys. So I think the old-school Aggies, the ones who remember the wrecking crew of the 80s and 90s, we're also kind of intrigued by the idea because I'm telling you that defense under Mike Elko at A&M, that's why they were 9-1 in 2020. That's why they were really good in 2021, despite being 8-4. It's because of a bad offense at that time. It certainly wasn't a defense. So certainly Aggies who've been around for a little while recognize that as much as well.
We're talking to Brent Zornoman of the Houston Chronicle. So to continue to piggyback off that, who is he going to retain on? Is he going to retain guys? I know he wants to retain some, especially on the defensive side of the ball. I would think some of those guys. I don't know about Durkin, but certainly the interim head coach, the D-line coach, would be a guy that I know that he's been, Elijah Robinson, that he's been really pursuing hard to retain because the players wanted him. He's recruited well. How many of these guys do you think he's going to retain? And then what kind of flavor is he going to bring offensively? Because personally, I liked watching his team at Duke play. I thought they were well coached.
Yeah, his number one recruiting battle here in December now is Elijah Robinson, because Elijah was the number one reason overall that A&M has been in the top 5 in recruiting for the past however many years. I mean, the guy, I used to write occasionally about a 5-star committing to A&M. I think there was more defensive linemen 5-stars in the past few years than I covered like for over a decade at all positions at A&M. I mean, the guy is just a whiz at recruiting, very impressive in our interactions with him. He is going to be sought after by other programs, you know, in terms of maybe a pay raise, maybe, I mean, I would guess he would end up as Mike Elko's defensive coordinator, and that's the carrot.
Right.
Meaning, obviously, DJ Durkin moves on. But that's all kind of in the process right now, and I can't blame Elijah Robinson from his end of saying, hey, I'm going to get as much money out of this as possible, because he was one of the candidates in the end for the head coaching position as well. Offensively, I think you might see an entire cleaning of the house. I mean, maybe James Coley survives on that front. Obviously, Bobby Petrino already moved on to Arkansas. And my understanding there was Mike Elko wasn't necessarily saying, hey, Petrino, pack your bags. It was Arkansas came calling early on, and then Bobby Petrino took the sure thing in a place where he's definitely wanted as opposed to maybe wanted. Offensively, I asked, that was my first question at the press conference for Mike Elko was, hey, we've seen what you've done defensively. What are you going to do on offense? And he said all the right answers, you know, all the opposite of Jimbo type approach, you know, in terms of attacking and trying to be innovative on offense and all those things. So there's not an offensive coordinator in place, or at least not as of, 9 a.m. or whatever time it is right now, as far as I know. So he's going to be filling out that staff also with the idea that the transfer portal opens in mass on December 4th. And some guys are already able to enter. But I will say this, that was one of the good things about the Elko hire from the A&M end of things, is that a lot of the players were familiar with him. A lot of the veterans loved him. And so then they were able to tell the younger guys, no, wait, give this guy a chance. So his hire also kind of helped keep what still is a pretty talented roster together at this point.
Well, so you mentioned in the beginning that the president of the university really wants that national championship, wants to see Texas A&M get on top. They get Mike Elko in there now, but how important is it for Texas A&M to get this thing figured out? Because Texas now in the SEC, they're going to be facing Texas every year. And how important is it for them now to get this all figured out so that not only can they win that title, but they can get this rivalry renewed and try not to be the little brother to Texas?
Yeah, I think the way y'all started this was talking about is the pressure on Mike Elko. And along those lines, absolutely. Because the whole idea was that if Jimbo Fisher got another year, and frankly, days leading up to it, I actually thought he was going to get another year based on a couple of things. They were showing signs of life on offense. I mean, they whipped Mississippi State 51-10 in what turned out to be Jimbo's last game. Things seemed to be clicking a little bit more. You did have a very talented roster that was still underclassmen. That class of 22 was still sophomores. So at that point, I thought, okay, and on top of all that, a very advantageous schedule next year. Both Texas and LSU come to Kyle Field. And so probably the most advantageous schedule they've had since joining the SEC. So all those things added up to me saying, okay, Jimbo's going to get one more chance to get this thing right. Well, he didn't. The Regents decided that wasn't going to happen. But that pressure then in turn turned on Mike Elko, and maybe that's one of the reasons why they ended up with him, because he's familiar with the situation and familiar with the setting, and there won't be as much of an adjustment because, yeah, absolutely, they're going to be expected to compete for a title right in his first year based on what I just mentioned. Primarily two things. Very talented roster still that they expect to keep intact under Mike Elko, and a very advantageous schedule. So, yes, he will be expected to compete right away. And then maybe after that, then you could say maybe a little bit more of a rebuilding process starts as that class is then eligible for the NFL draft as well.
Yeah, because then you got the Connor Wegman situation. And we saw his quarterback at Duke, Riley Leonard, going to the transfer portal. Will the Aggies be a factor there? And then we've heard all the rumors about Evan Stewart. So there's going to be some fascinating storylines to follow roster-wise, Brent.
Yeah, it's as y'all remember, it used to be that, okay, the regular season ends, and then there's kind of a calm time in between, maybe a little more family time for everybody involved in college football leading up to the bowls and bowl practices. Transfer portal and all that has changed that, in terms of a guy like, as you mentioned, Evan Stewart, been trying to kind of keep an eye on him, 5-star receiver who's shown flashes of greatness, but not really in his first 2 years, and he's going to be a hot commodity on the open market. And so one of their deals is going to be trying to convince him to stay or see what happens, or maybe Mike Elko says, okay, this guy didn't even travel to the LSU game. Maybe they don't want him, so we'll see. We'll see how all that plays out. But, yeah, it's definitely an added element to the whole deal with player movement in the past few years as well.
Well, we're talking Aggies, the best in the business, Brent Zwerneman. Let everybody know how to follow your work, man, and we really always appreciate the time.
Hey, guys, I appreciate it, Drew and Scott. At Brent Zwerneman, BrentzWerneman, or just Brent Aggies. Just Google a couple of those words together, and you'll come up with it.
Yes,
well,
sir.
The only Stoops we didn't mention was Bob.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, which might have been the best candidate out of all those guys.
Maybe so.
I visited with Bob Stoops. He was a part of that Bear Bryant Awards last year. It was kind of a lifetime achievement deal. And that guy, man, he wants no part of the new world of college football. He feels like maybe he exited at the right time in terms of everything that's gone on since. So, he made that very clear.
Yeah, good.
Never say never again, though, either, right?
Yeah, right. Great stuff. Thank you, Brent.
You bet, guys.
Thanks,
y'all have a good weekend.
Thanks,
you too.
Yeah.
That's an added nugget right there. He wants no part of it. None.
We met coaches crying. We find out all kinds of good stuff.
Unless Iowa gives him a 10-year contract, it doesn't mess it up this time.
See? Yeah. Jody,
Scott.
Oh, we got to get a break in.
So maybe it wouldn't be a 23-point underdog.
We'd have an offense.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
A single vehicle accident, Bob Wade in Mount Lebanon. It's an overturned vehicle. Got a lot of emergency equipment on that one. It is reported as an injury type. And we got one in Morgan County, Old Moulton Road, 2400 block. That's near McIntyre Lane. Had a vehicle hit a utility pole. Utility pole is broken. The wires are hanging low, but they're not on the ground there. That one has injury and minor entrapment reported. You get 2 pieces of hand-breaded, juicy, tender signature chicken and a buttermilk biscuit for $4.99 at Popeyes. University and Jordan, 72 in Jeff and North Parkway. Captain Nick in the Popeyes Skywatch Traffic Center.
Tom Abraham here for my friends at North Alabama Mortgage. Are you thinking about home improvements? Well, use your equity now and refi later. Or use your equity to eliminate consumer debt forever, then refi to a lower rate and shorter term when rates drop. North Alabama Mortgage can also help you if you're thinking about buying an investment property or a second home at the lake or the beach or in the mountains. We have great programs to make that happen. Visit NorthAlabamaMortgage.com to learn more. That's NorthAlabamaMortgage.com.
What's better than 2 in-zone sports bars?
3 in-zone sports bars.
And we have you covered with our original location on University across from Red Lobster, in Jones Valley on Cecil Ashburn near Carl T. Jones, and our newest location in the Midtown District on McMurtry Drive opposite the Target Plaza. All locations feature the NFL Sunday Ticket, Tuesday half-price burgers, and Wednesday $1 jumbo wings all day long. You're never far from the end zone. End Zone Sports Bar.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Your headlines today will be your headlines tomorrow, and that is high school football playoffs. Jimmy Lay from AL.com here with us real fast to help us kind of sort everything out.
It'll be a historical night.
Yeah, get your galoshes and your rain jacket ready because you may need it there, Jimmy.
What's up, Jimmy?
Hey, guys. Yeah, I think the rain's going to hold off until after the game. It's kind of
I hope so.
Please. Yeah, it's supposed to be around 60 degrees, too, so it shouldn't be too cold also. But, yeah, we got 3 teams here in the Tennessee Valley going for trying to get to Tuscaloosa. Of course, you got Westminster hosting Cherokee County. It's the biggest game in school history. I was just over there a little bit ago talking to the coaches. They're excited. Field looks great. Drains really well. It shouldn't be a factor as far as the rain and that. Cherokee County is just a beast. I mean, they really haven't faced a lot of adversity this year. They did lose to
Fort Payne.
6A, Fort Payne.
Yep.
Fort Payne was able to slow their offense down. It's the only team really been able to slow them down. And then last week, their game with West Morgan came down to a 3rd and 15 pass interference penalty. You didn't think that they'd put the ball up. They threw a halfback pass, and West Morgan got called for pass interference, kept the drive going, and they were able to get the touchdown and the extra point to be able to go ahead. But tonight it's going to come down to, can Westminster get some stops? Can they get Cherokee and get them behind the sticks a little bit and make them have to do something different than just hand it to Cornejo? And can Brandon Mush keep this thing going? He's just been amazing. He's 30 yards short from 14,000 total yards. He's got 193 total touchdowns, and I'd say he might need 7 or 8 of those touchdowns tonight to get that done. Madison Academy facing a really tough Geraldine team. I mean, they got to stop. Geraldine's got a running back, Carlos, man. He had 2 50-yard touchdown runs last week against Lauderdale. Plus, Geraldine has a kicker, man. He kicked a 43-yarder and a 47-yarder last week. So if the game gets tight and they need a field goal, they've got a really solid kicker. But, hey, Madison Academy's got they got Ken Cherry. They got a great defense, so look for them. Gunnersville, they're going to have to stop Cam Keenan. They want to win that game. Hopefully they can get it done.
Yeah, well,
thanks,
Jimmy. We look forward to the coverage, man.
Yeah.
Thank you, man. Your fan owed to CBS.
The last time. Tomorrow's it. The last time we will hear this for CBS and the SEC. The SEC Championship coming your way 3 o'clock tomorrow. Alabama, Georgia. We finally get to settle it on the field.
Finally.
You get your Pac-12 title game for $24 tonight.
Or $83.
Get you a good seat.
Wolverine
$300
Dan.
will get you a suite.
Call the Morning Blitz, Wolverine Dan. You can vent there.
Yeah,
it's next.
$300 you can sit in a suite.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
There's nothing like the freedom you feel when you're on the water in your own boat from Freedom Marine in Gunnersville. And when it's time to get your boat ready for cold weather, Freedom Marine is your best choice to winterize your boat so it's ready to go next spring. If you've been thinking about a new boat, Freedom Marine has a great selection on